So unless you've been living under a rock, it's basically been impossible to kind of avoid basically every reaction channel on YouTube doing some sort of content about Mirar. And honestly, for pretty good reason too. For what feels like the first time in a very, very long time, Mirar is finally doing something extremely different. Basically creating an entirely new subgenre that we're all calling Thall step at this point. It's interesting this time around though, because it's led a lot of metal fans, Thall fans, and just people who like music in general to ask, how are they doing this? And while I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I have all the answers, I think I do have some good talking points about how you can start out at least. So if you're not subscribed yet, make sure you hit the button, come back for some more Thall. So a while ago, I put out this riff that admittedly wasn't that great, but it did show off a lot of the techniques that we're gonna talk about. And the first one that we're going to talk about is quad tracking. Quite honestly, this is the most easy thing you could possibly do to make your Thall track sound a little bit better. So why is that, right? And basically the reason is you're just getting subtle pitch and timing variations through the different tracks that you're recording, and you can think about that like a couple different violins playing in an orchestra. And then one awesome thing to note here is to get even more pitch variations between your takes, try using some looser strings. It helps give a little bit of nuance between the takes. All right, pick scrapes, right? And no, I'm not talking about the kind you did when you were learning Crazy Train when you were 10 years old. This is something a little bit different. And what I mean by that is basically holding your pick perfectly perpendicular to the strings with a lot of downward pressure towards the pickups and sliding down or up. Both are going to give different sounds. Basically, that added pressure is just going to give a much more abrasive sound, which is going to end up sounding like something a little bit cooler when you add it on top of the other techniques we're going to talk about. Pitch shifting. Yes, get your Digitech whammies out. There's so many different ways to do this now, right? We have Gojira, of course we have the Digitech whammy. There's also some really other cool pitch shifting plugins like Inner Pitch, and even the stock plugin pitch shifters in your DAW are pretty good. The main thing you want to focus on here is putting those pitch shifters before your amp. It's gonna sound so much better that way. All right, we got pitch shifting. Let's talk about another kind of shifting, which is frequency shifting. And this one's really different. It can go before the amp, it can go after the amp, it can go on anything. I really recommend trying out the one from Kilohertz and just putting it on everything, anything, move it around, see what sounds good. A lot of the times you'll just move it to a random spot in the riff and it'll actually end up sounding a lot cooler than you thought. Just be careful, don't go above 1500 or below 1500 hertz. It starts getting a little bit weird. But I mean, if all those techniques aren't going to do it for you, I mean, just get wild with it. I mean, we've clearly entered into a realm of music where anything's on the table. So, you know, whether that's an audio clip of a woman screaming, tires screeching down the road, I mean, just try anything, throw it on the track, see what works. That being said, though, with techniques like that, try not to overdo it. They are just pitchless noises, and if you use too many of them, your music's just gonna sound like pitchless noises. But that leads us to the real point of the video, right? I mean, these techniques have to be used in composition. I mean, the Mirar guys are classically trained jazz musicians, and maybe really all we need is a little bit of jazz. If you guys are interested in composing Thall step or other metal, consider joining our Discord. We got a ton of people down there, always helping each other out, making really cool stuff. That's all I have for you guys today. I'll see you in the next one.